Yo, how's it going? Back at you again today with another podcast, another episode of God's Concept. I'm your host, Mr. Pagan. How's everybody out there doing? I hope you're doing well. Oh, and also, at kingpalms.com, you get 20% off using my code KP, Mr. Pagan 215. So if you want to go to King Palms website, get 20% off on your favorite rolling products. You know what I mean? On your favorite stuffable rolling products. They taste great. They got a large variety of different flavors for you out there. I can say from experience of using this product myself that it gives you a premium taste. You never got to worry about rolling up wrong. You don't got to worry about your blunt bolting, you know what I mean? How it burn on one side more than the other. And we never got to worry about that type of things with King's Palms. You know, King Palms is not, you don't got to roll it. You just stuff it, light it, and go. Got a nice filter at the end. The filter even got these little taste capsules in it. They got capsules within the filter of the pot, within the filter of the roll, that actually allows you to get more flavor from your roll with King Palms. And I haven't seen another rolling paper or stuffable rolling paper do that before. You know what I mean? And it's easy to go. You just grind up your flour. You just take they give you the tool to actually stuff it into the King Palms cigar casing. And from there, you're good to go. And it tastes great. You know what I mean? Normally, it hold about 2 grams. You know, the gram is, it hold it. You know what I mean? Hold it well. So, please, if you want to get any of the great King Palm products, the stuffable, rolling papers, if you want to get them, go to kingpalms.com and use my code KP, Mr. Pagan, no period, Mr. Pagan 215. And they got those great products there available for you all the time. 20% off is nothing to sneeze at. You go there and check it out. Now, this episode is about Civil War. Something that we're heading towards, but we don't really think too much about it. You know what I mean? Us being regular civilians, we don't think about how a civil war would start and how it would come about. In the past, we've had civil wars happen in America before. And these civil wars were fought, people versus a governing class of people, right? But this time it won't be the people versus the government. This time it'll be people versus people over political reasons, over political debates. If we look at what recently happened in history, we had either Trump assassination attempt or a assassination staged, because it's all theatrical. You know what I mean? Either they really tried to assassinate Trump, or the Republican side of things staged the assassination attempt to make it look like he was going to be assassinated, to make it apparent to us that he was going to be the next president of the United States again. And it's a bold move. It's a hell of a move. I don't even think his ear was grazed. You know what I mean? I don't think that he got shot at all, because he came out too soon with no bandages on his ear. You know what I mean? I had somebody who fell and bumped their ear and needed stitches on their ear, right? And it took almost a month for that ear to heal up, especially the earlobe. He don't even seem to have a scratch, no type of stitches or anything from a bullet graze to the ear. So if us as American citizens can't see that or be able to tell that that was staged, then something is wrong with us. Something is drastically wrong with us when we can't tell what's real and what's not real, what's staged and what's not staged. And the theater of the whole debate and the theater of the president seeing what's going on is all staged. I mean, we had a young lady get killed by a cop, a black lady, a lady. I forgot where this happened at, but I believe that that was staged too. Not that it didn't happen, but it happened for a political reason, because we have a Democrat named Kamala Harris who's running for president, who is vice president now. So I believe that they'll do these type of things, right, and stage different things. That happens. It really happens, but it doesn't really happen. Like, okay, the Trump assassination was staged, right? That's for me. That's apparent, right? For me, that's apparent. But having people actually die at the rally and the shooter die at the rally, that wasn't. I mean, it was staged, but it was real. You know what I mean? People really get killed over over politics, over the government. You know, and with how they look at it is sacrificing a few for the good of many. You know what I mean? They call it the greater good. You know what I mean? They'll stage assassination attempts, and they'll actually kill people and have the police kill people so it look good for another candidate. You know what I mean? To show a black woman, right, pick up a pot of water, and this cop was literally telling her, you know, I'm gonna shoot you in the face. That was premeditation. He he premeditated shooting this black lady in the face, you know, over her having a disturbance at her home, right? He was supposed to be answering the call for that disturbance at the home. Who's to say that that whole thing wasn't staged? Yeah, it was a real life outcome. There are people really mourning for their mom, for their sister, for their family member because she really was killed. But that's a lot of times that's how it works. A lot of times they'll plan and stage things and it'll be real, but the reason why it happened won't actually be the reason why it happened. You know, it's a lot of this that goes on in politics in today's society. You know, we're blinded by the political theatrics, right, that goes on. A lot of our celebrities do it. A lot of our celebrities endorse a candidate and actually cry tears and go to their rallies and perform shows over their political candidates. And best believe they get paid to do this. They get paid and incentivized to actually, you know, promote one president over the other. Whether it's their own, you know, whether they're doing it because they want to do it because they see a political point of view that they really stand by, whether that be taxes or whether that be, you know, immigration or whatever the case may be. They get on these political parties, these political tickets, and it's to get the citizens, it's to get us as the people more involved with politics. You know, like I said before, the first civil war that we had in America was for, you know, government versus the people, right? Where we wanted more power, we wanted the government to know that we wanted more power, or it was left versus right. It's the same thing going on now, but it'll be more so done with the government standing outside of what's actually going on. The government will actually be standing outside of what's going on and look and make it look like it was the people, the citizens, who actually wanted to have this civil war. The people, the citizens who actually wanted to uprise against, you know, the Democrats wanted to fight the Republicans and things like that and clash, you know, and they'll clash for political reasons. The whole time, the government get to swoop in and kind of be the savior of both parties. You know what I mean? And it's something that stages, something that's going on, and if you're really paying attention, you can see it. Civil war is not any laughing matter, right? You're going to have people die on both sides. You're going to have Americans die on both sides. And either way we look at it, this hurts us as citizens. This hurt our freedoms, our liberties, um, everything that we deem to be America, everything that we're Americans for. Everything that we think that we're Americans for. Because, you know, back in the days, you know who the rock stars was. You know who the celebrities was back when the first Civil War happened. It was the politicians. Politicians in government were celebrities then. And nowadays, it's the musicians, right? It's the movie stars, it's the actors and things like that. Those are the stars in these days. So they'll either get the most famous rapper, the most famous singer, or whomever to be on their side. The most famous celebrities. Forget about the musicians, but it'll be just celebrities on this side and that side, and that brings a division to us as citizens. You know what I mean? And that causes us to be in disarray and in the panic, and choose a side basically. It's basically us versus us, and the government get to swoop in and play the good guy, play the referee, if you will. You know what I mean? And that's how they want it. They don't want it to be a civil war where it's the people versus the government. They don't want you to ever acknowledge that our government has been tyrannical for a long time. We live in a false democracy. It's really socialism under the veil or under the guise of democracy that we're living under right now. And some of us see it and some of us don't. It's a game that's played, and it's played well because they bring your media into it. They bring the famous into it. They bring your celebrities into it. People that you listen to. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us don't watch the political debates and things like that. A lot of us don't care. We just pick a side and we stick to that side, even if that side is wrong or right. You know what I mean? And that's your freedom of choice. But at the same time, it's a game that need not to be played anymore, because if you're picking sides and you have people on both sides that's so radical, that's so left or so right, to the point where they're willing to take other Americans' lives over their political point of views, you know what I mean? You have a problem. You have a problem, and that's one of our greatest problems. You know what I mean? You have too many followers and not enough leaders. You know what I mean? You have too many people following and doing, things that they want others to do. I must got a jet or something flying over here. That shit was crazy. That wasn't a regular airplane. That was like must have been a jet or something. But we're worrying about a third world war that's going to happen, right? We're worrying about a third world war that's going to happen. When really, we have to worry about the war that's going on right here in our own backyard, and start really analyzing and taking a more critical point of view to what our government is doing in our lives. I mean, me personally, if you've been watching my podcast, if you've seen any of my episodes, you know that I've been going through a lot of things, through a whole lot of shit, on all fronts. And going through those things led me down a rabbit hole of discovery, of looking for information, of applying at different places just to see what happens and everything. And really, ultimately, what I realize is that a lot of this thing that we call life, our everyday life, is monitored and manipulated in a lot of different ways. In ways that normal Americans, regular citizens of America will never understand, because they're just complacent. They're just, they're living their life and they're working at their job, and they never have that internal thought, those internal voices that tells them certain things, or that vision, that foresight that allows them to see certain things that's going on around them. You know what I mean? They're they're so they're so in their bubble to the point where they don't see the the play that's going on all around them. You know what I mean? The play is evident. It's right there. It's not. It's apparent. You know, a lot of the celebrities and things that we like to see for entertainment, they know about this stuff. You know what I mean? They clearly know about this stuff. Some of them don't, and they're just living their life because they got money and they got wealth, fame, and you know what I mean. Whatever. They don't have to worry about the same things that we have to worry about. If there was a civil war, right? If there was a civil war, they wouldn't have to worry about whether whether or not their family's going to be hurt, because they'll have all their loved ones and everything sitting in a mansion somewhere fine. They'll have all their people fine and dandy. Okay. They'll have all they. Sorry about that. They'll have all their loved ones fine and dandy. You know what I mean? Now, this is the perfect chance for FEMA camps and everything to start actually coming into play, for people to start really relying on the government. You know what I mean? If there was a civil war situation break out, hypothetically, this would be the perfect time for the government to come in and play daddy, and basically put a lot of people in FEMA camps. A lot of people, not a lot of people, the general populace would be put into these FEMA camps for further control. See, we look at it like left and right, right? Left wing or right wing, Democrat, Republican, right? But it's all really the same. Like when you look at these two wings, they're all on the same bird. They're all together. So if this happens, this would be the perfect time for what? For encampments to start, to keep the left from the right. And the only way you can keep the left from the right is by having concentration camps. People locked in these camps for so long, or for whatever purpose, or for some time, or for indefinitely, for all we know. That's why it's a game that we really can't play. It's a game that we really can't win. Right now, you call yourself fighting for your party, right? Whether you're Democrat or Republican, you call yourself doing this, when really, you got to call yourself fighting for humanity, fighting for civilization, fighting for your government to not be tyrannical and ruling your life, right? Because if this type of things persist, right, we could find ourselves under a lot more control and a lot more scrutiny than we already are. It's chess is not checkers for them. Everybody else out here is a regular citizen. We're playing checkers in our everyday life. You could call it playing chess. Some of us think more intellectually than others. But when you look at the grand scheme of what the government does, they're playing the true game of chess, because their moves aren't seen. They're thinking moves ahead, and we're stuck in the same move, and we can't help it because a lot of us been placed in those conditions, in that type of circumstance, right? Because the ultimate thing is what? Control of the citizens, when really the citizens are supposed to be in control of the government. You know what I mean? If this thing break out the way most people think it's going to break out, you're not going to have a freedom of choice anymore, of choosing who your political party is. You're not going to have that freedom of seeing, having a say so in who your next president is. I mean, you really already don't have a say so in who the next president is going to be. But they give you the illusion of that. They give you the illusion that your vote matters, that your voice really counts, and it does count. But there will come a day where your voice will not count anymore, where your opinion will not matter anymore. You know what I mean? And that's where we headed if we keep on going down this line of, you know, Democrats versus Republicans and things like that. You know what I mean? Um, whether we like it or not, somebody's going to be appointed. You know what I mean? Whether we like it or not, we're in this place together. We're on this land together, right? So you have to really be wise and think about why all these moves are happening, why everything is adding up this way. You know, the theaters of any war is very real. The theaters of any war is very real, especially civil war, because that's internal war. That's the war where we're fighting with each other, fighting with ourselves. And the only way they can gain control over everybody is by having us fight amongst each other while they sit back and watch and come in to de-escalate the whole situation. And that's what's going on. If you don't want to be placed in any FEMA camps and things like this, we have to stop fighting amongst each other and bickering amongst each other about our political differences, right? And start holding our government more accountable for the role that they play in the things that happen in our lives and other Americans' lives, and you know, in our government. You know, because you got corrupt people everywhere. You know, you got these people basically running our world. They might not run the world in its entirety, but they run our world. And that's a problem that we have today because our government has gotten way too big. You know, our government has gotten out of hand, basically, and we allowed it. You know what I mean? We, as citizens of, of America, as Americans, we allowed our government to rule and run our lives with different things that they've done, you know, in front of the media, in front of the people, um, with different acts of terror and things like that that were planned out, and people know that they were planned out. Like I watch YouTube videos all the time that shows and that shows blatantly that these things that America had hands in a lot of things that happened in America. You know what I mean? And it's like things that could have been prevented in a lot of different ways. Yet we sit back and we still bicker about our political differences, about Democrats and Republicans and things like that. And that's our own fault. That's our own fault for falling for the smoke and mirrors, right? And that's basically what they want is full control. You know, the government want full control of us. You know what I mean? If they can plan out the Civil War thing, right, and it actually happened, right, and it looks like it's up in the air. You know, the coin is flipping, the coin is falling, and it could flip and fall on any side, right? It depends on the right button pushes, on the right emotions to be triggered and drawn, or the right people to do the wrong thing to the point where the Civil War actually happened. And if the Civil War actually does happen, the government will take full control of all of the citizens. Everyone out here who's able to watch this podcast, whether you watch it, whether you listen to it or not, all of us. If Civil War happens, you have to understand that you basically gave your rights, your liberties, your freedoms away. You know, the Declaration of Independence, you know, and our civil rights and everything like that goes out the window once the Civil War happens. You know what I mean? That'll be the moment our government take full control of all the citizens, of everything that happens in your life, You know, that'll basically be not saying that we don't already have the mark of the beast happening now and things like that, because it is staged. If we go down the Civil War path, it'll be government controlled. I mean, it'll be us, the people, fully controlled by the government. You know, basically, and that happens, man. It's like, what are we gonna do? What are you gonna do? What plans that you have that would be foiled by such an act? You know what I mean? What the course of your life would drastically be different. You know, once this thing happened, and it's all a propaganda to start to bring about this new world order. You know what I mean? This new world order thing that a lot of people haven't. A lot of people don't talk about the new world order thing anymore. You know what I mean? About a one world government and things like this. A lot of people don't even touch this topic no more because we're so busy, you know, combing over what's going on in our own backyard. But if civil war happens, right, and the government got to step in and take control over everybody because we got too out of hand with one side versus the other, the Democrat versus Republican, left wing versus right wing. If that happened, that's when the government get to say, okay, we're now in accordance with New World Order. We're now in accordance with one world governments. We're now on the same tier that a lot of us don't want to be on. You know, that New World Order thing will become more apparent to you if there was a civil war. You know, the only way I can say this, and this is out there a little bit, right? The only way I could say that a civil war, right, in America would be something that's a pro instead of a con. I mean, even the pros have cons to it, right? The only way I could really say that civil war would be a pro and not a con if it's a civil war not fought people versus people. The civil war has to be fought people versus the government. That's the only way a civil war would make sense in America. If it's the people versus a tyrannical government, which in the Second Amendment says that's why we got the right to bear arms, right? If our government becomes too tyrannical and we have to bear arms, then we have to bear our arms and go overthrow the government, right? This is why they don't. This is why they want a civil war to happen, and they don't want to be involved with the civil war unless it's them coming in to bring about some type of civil action, some type of bring peace to everybody. You know what I mean? But ultimately, if it's the left versus the right, then ultimately that civil war will be fought over the government, about the government, from the government. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just the only one. Maybe I'm just one of the few that actually see what's going on and what is coming to. But that's ultimately what it's about. You know what I mean? It's them protecting their own ass. It's them maintaining control and power. And the only way they can maintain control and power is to make it look like the people who are Republicans the people who are Democrats attack the Republicans, or the Republicans attack the Democrats. And then the government had to step in and play big brother and save everybody's ass. That's how they want it to be. That's how, excuse me, that's how they want to bring about another civil war. Because if it's a war against the people versus the government, either way we lose. There's going to be casualties on both sides, and mainly on the citizens, on the American side. You know what I mean? How can we win a civil war against a government that has essentially stripped us of all assets to fight said war? You know what I mean? You really don't have the artillery the manpower, the capability, the technology that the government has. This is why they also make sure that your technology is so outdated and far behind theirs. I mean, even your latest iPhone has nothing on the capabilities and technology that they have developed already and that they're moving past. Even the technology that we hold as civilians is still out of date compared to what they have. So you could just imagine and think what they really have in the pipeline, what system that we're really up against here. You know what I mean? It's really already topsy-turvy. It's already, you know what I mean, a unbalanced scale of power that's going on. You know what I mean? It's just, either way, you lose. That's how they want it. Either way, you lose. But you really lose, the ultimate loss is if a civil war happens and it's the people versus the people. If we have a civil war in America and it's people versus the people, everybody loses because you're all going to lose freedom. And it's funny because you would call yourselves fighting for freedom, right? You would call yourself fighting for your rights or your political party. And the very fight that you're fighting for your freedoms and your freedom of speech and your rights and this and that will be the very thing that takes all of your rights away from you. All of your civil liberties. All that your forefathers has fought to put into place, right? For this government, right? All of that will be stripped away from you in one foul swoop. But it's incremental steps that they take for these things to actually happen and take place in society. You know? And it's all staged. We all know that our movies and our entertainment always has some truth to it. I mean, look at The Simpsons, right? Old ass cartoon predicting shit that's happening today, in today's society, in today's time, right? Why during all of this unrest, right? This April, look what movie they put out. This background right behind me, this is the movie Civil War that came out April 12th. It depicts a civil war happening now in America. Now, I never seen this movie, never seen it, right? But it was put out in this time, at this time, for a reason, for a purpose. It's like a sign of the times. It's a statement. You know what I mean? Just like they put out the movie Killers of the Flower Moon. And what happened in my life and what became apparent in my own life. And in a lot of other Native Americans' lives. And things like that. You know what I mean? And it's just, they'll tell you the truth, but they'll tell you the truth in theaters. They'll show you all the truth in the world. They'll show you exactly where they want the world to go. They'll show you where we came from and how this started. They'll show you all the conspiratorial things, but they won't tell it to you in a briefing. They won't give it to you in a document. They won't release that information, you know, as being 100% factual information and all that they know and all that they can show and give you the proof. They won't do that in the media. They won't do that in a briefing or in a document. How they give you the truth a lot of times is through our movies. It's through our entertainment. So that way you could look at it and you'll see it as pure entertainment. You'll see it as just being, you know, a movie that sat in the box office for a while and made millions of dollars. But you'll never see it as them telling you the truth without telling you the truth. And that's what it is, man. You know, we all gotta wake up and really just understand that things that happen domestically and things that happen across state lines um, is all staged events. You know what I mean? And all of us are playing in this theater. Some of us are playing as people who don't know anything about what's really going on, and we're just going along for the ride. You got some of us who sees what's going on, but has no power to do anything about it. You know, a lot of us are threats to the democracy that they call America, that they say that we have in America, because we see past the bullshit. We can see through the veil. You don't have to lift the veil up on some people's eyes for them to be able to see and tell exactly what's going on here in America. Some of us see clearly, clairvoyance, right? Some of us see it, and it's not a pretty picture. It's not a pretty sight of where we're going and where our kids is going. I mean, you got people who know, who's in the know, right? Who's trying to get out of America. You got people who know a lot of things that's going on, and clearly see the path that America is on, and they're trying to get their families out of America. Why is that? It's because they know more than you know. They know exactly what America is heading towards, so they want to get out of America. Not saying that they don't want to be Americans anymore, that they want to denounce America and all that. That's not what they're doing. They're getting away from America while America is going through so much turmoil. And then, yeah, sure, they'll come back to America once it's all done. Once the smoke is cleared, they'll come back to America once, that window of opportunity is there. But basically a lot of Americans that knows about this stuff, a lot of politicians and things like this, they don't want to live in America. A lot of them don't live in America because they're fearful of the acts that's coming soon, that's coming, that's down the pipe. They can see the ball coming. They can see it, and it's not because that they just are so smart or so insightful about everything. It's because they know. A lot of these people know because they're told what's going to happen, or not even told, they're shown what's going to happen by the actions of our government. Things that's happening behind closed, the things that's happening behind closed doors that we don't get to see. The information is not disclosed to everybody else. They already know. And that's why everybody need to go get some King Palm rolls at 20% off. Using my code KP, Mr. Pagan 215, you get 20% off your order. However much you order, you can order 1,000, a caseload of these things, and either, no matter whether your order is $20 or $300, you're gonna get that 20% off your complete order, and that's nothing to sneeze at. I had to plug it. On my last episode of my podcast, I was calling for promoters. I was calling for promotions and things like that. And, I actually got a small brand. Not a small brand, but I got a brand. I got a brand basically to actually, you know, endorse. Somebody to endorse. Right now, I'm doing the endorsing. I'm endorsing them. It's not like I'm getting a check for doing this endorsement, but at the same time, it gives me something to endorse, a brand that I can endorse that's well known, that's highly respected. You know what I mean? It's used worldwide in stores everywhere, that I can actually promote and endorse on my podcast. So I'm thankful for what I get. I'm thankful for what I get. I'm not the greatest at anything. I don't chase perfection. I chase proficiency. And anytime that I could put works out there have something come back, whether it be big or small. As long as I got some type of kickback in a positive way, from anybody, get some positive insight from anybody, or a positive opportunity from any avenue that I'm taking, right? It's greatly appreciated. So I appreciate King Palms for allowing me to get a 20% off code to put on my podcast, to have something, to have a brand to endorse, to am I saying that right? To have a brand to actually bring to you guys, where you know you can go support the brand, you can go support that business. King Palms is, it also supports me when you use this code. So the code is KP Mr. Pagan 215, 20% off all your rolling products. Go use the code. It helps me out. It helps them out. It'll help you out. Cause shit, you'll have something where you don't gotta roll up no more. You ain't gotta break the blunt down and worry about the messy inside guts of the blunt. You know what I mean? The tobacco getting everywhere. You ain't gotta do all that. You take this out the pack. You already had your flour ready. You stuff it. You ain't even gotta break the flour up. With this, trust me, I used the product plenty times. With this, you ain't even gotta break the flour up. You could just start, bloop, drop your little buds in there, and get the rolling, get the smoking, man. You know what I mean? King Palms, I could say, is the best product out there for your smoking pleasures. It's one of the best products out there for your smoking pleasures. You know what I mean? The packaging, the quality, the logo, the King Palms logo, it make you feel like you're smoking a Cuban cigar or something whenever you're using this thing. So trust me, go out there, check out, go on to kingpalms.com, go on their website, explore all the different flavors, all the different styles, and use my code KP Mr. Pagan 215 and get you 20% off. I enjoyed this podcast. I enjoyed having y'all listening to me right now. I enjoyed doing this podcast because it was something that was on my mind. Um, me looking at so many other podcasts and understanding what's going on right now in today's society. It's a lot. It's a lot right now, man. So, be mindful of what's going on around you. Be mindful of how you treat one another, and really just look at politics as being politics. They have a job to do. They have a job to do these things that they're doing out here. They have a job to run this government that we've grown accustomed to. So, that's what they're going to do. They're going to run this government however they see fit running. But one thing we don't need, along with the government and their shit, because if you fall into this trap, it's going to be a trap not just for you who fight this civil war with one another. It's going to be a trap for all of us. So before you go fight, right, for Democrats or Republicans or whomever you want to fight for, right, it's okay to have your own political point of views and your own side and everything. But the minute you go to actually bear arms against another American for a political point of view, you're sliding down a slippery slope. Because that's considered a civil war. That's considered, when you have these two sides fighting against each other, that's a civil war. And right now it's a thing where we shouldn't be against each other. We shouldn't be divided against Democrats and Republicans. If you're going to be divided against anything, it should be against your government. It should be against the people who put these parties in place, who put the divisiveness out here in the populace, in the society. Those are the ones you should be fighting against. You shouldn't fight amongst each other and kill one another for your own differences and point of views of politics and how you feel as if the country should be ran. You know, that's my point of view. You know, stay aware, stay intact, man, and keep listening to God Concept Podcast. Keep watching this podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. You know what I mean? I'm still out here doing my thing, man. I'm still out here trying to get ahead through all the adversity that I've been dealt with in my life. Through everything that's been put on my plate, I'm still bringing you content. I'm still out here, you know, moving and shaking. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, this has been another episode of God Concept. I'm your host, Mr. Pagan. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace. God bless y'all.